Coach, one of the things trying to get ready for this game is the matchup between Jesse Bates and Derek Carr, kind of the cat and mouse, the safety and the quarterback.
Sure.
That worked out pretty good last game. Give us some of the details on how that, he's kind of the quarterback of the and the Pro Bowl quarterback of the team.
Don't want to give you too many details. No, it is, yeah, and it's 11 on 11, and so there is going to be some of that matchup and how we try to manipulate some of the coverages that we're playing and the looks that we're going to give them. So there is that cat and mouse game going on. Jesse does a really good job of it, and I think he's had a really good grasp of what we're doing. I think Derek Carr's, he's playing at a high level, particularly right now. Last couple games, I mean, he's very accurate. He's throwing the ball on time. He's not taking a lot of sacks. I mean, the guy's playing really good football, so that's going to be a major challenge. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to try to disguise some things and take him off the first read and give time for the D-line to get there. And so, yeah, that is, like you're saying, the cat and mouse game, and we got a big challenge ahead.
And I know when I covered the Packers, when Chris Sherman would put 3 safeties in, he called that the big nickel. With Hallams in his situations, that take that option away from you all. Y'all been playing a lot of the 3 safeties together.
Yeah, we have, but we still have the package. You'll probably see it again because we've got some other guys that have played for us. And again, like this conversation comes up every week. We played a lot of guys the entire season, D-line, linebackers, and in the secondary, and so we can mix and match a bunch of different combinations to get that group on the field, and we'll do it again.
Where you guys, just weeks of last week of the season, or you guys play on, this defense is taking a massive drop. What has been the biggest key when you look at it to why this defense is maybe so much better than it had been?
I think our coaching staff has done a great job, and our players have done a great job together, working within the scheme, technique, fundamentals. I think we've got some really good teachers on our coaching staff, and those guys have really came in and taught, like I said, the scheme and the fundamentals together. And then take the players, the constant workers. We got great guys, great teammates. Absolutely love our guys. I mean, they are fantastic. And so I think when you have that combination of, you get good coaches and good players, and everybody's working together. That's the thing. Like, I think sometimes you can have a one-off, or somebody can be disruptive, and that we don't have that here. And that's, every day we come in and we install, or we tweak, or we, technique and a route or a run fit, things like this. And guys just, they're eager, Mike. They're eager to learn, to perform at their ultimate best, and they want that for each other too. I think really since last month or so, I just feel our guys just come together more than we have in the beginning of the year, and care about each other, care about what we're doing. And sometimes it takes a little while to learn each other. So year one together with a whole bunch of different guys, and you see them, they celebrate together, they're cheering each other on, they're coaching each other up, and I think that's a big part of what we're doing right now.
Is some of that maybe too because of like a lot of the external conversation about teachers and stuff like that? Could that play into it also, bringing guys together, or is that, you think, separate?
I don't particularly listen to the outside type deal, because we're just so week to week, next week, because that's, again, if you keep outside noise and all things on the outside, then we don't let it affect us, and hey, we're solely focused on us. Like, that's the most important thing, is who we are, how we practice, how we think, how we approach every day. Not really our opponent, but what we do. Like, that's the most important thing. And so I think if you start focusing too much on the opponent, you want to know your opponent, right, inside and out, and those type of things. But you also always have to bring it back to yourselves, your team, your group, your position, whatever that is, and really, then you can take the next step, and not let any external things or whatever happen affect that. And I think our guys have done a good job. I really do. Yesterday's practice was as good as we've had energy-wise. I mean, it was the communication and things like that. And so I think one of the things is as soon as that starts to go the other way, then you know something's going on. We didn't have that yesterday. It was phenomenal, and excited to get out there with these guys today and do it all over again.
What is that specifically, where the improvement that maybe he's made throughout the year? Where is that? I know we talked about it last week, but where has that really stood out and what he's been able to kind of jump out?
Well, you know, a rookie, and he's had a little success early, and he's just continued to work, and sometimes it takes a little bit. You know, he's a guy who came in here, and he had a good college career, but sometimes, you know, you go from college to the NFL, there's maybe that in the back of your mind, you know, now I'm in the NFL, and it takes a little, can I play at this level? Or, you know, sometimes it takes guys a couple of games or half the season, and then all of a sudden he makes a play. Or whoever that player is, you know, because we've got a couple of rookies that are playing for us, and they make a play, and they have a little success, and then they have a little bit more success. And I think that's what you're seeing with Zach is he's come out and he's practiced, he's had success in practice, he's taken to the coaching and the technique, and he's really feeling like, man, I can play at this level, and that's a big part of it, the confidence and the belief in yourself to go do it. And then you've seen him play a lot faster. I think that's the biggest thing, and he's seeing things faster. So it's been really cool to be around and to see, and he's done all the work. All the credit goes to him. I mean, he's been absolutely fantastic, and so there's going to be a bunch more steps with him, but he's trending in the right direction.
So based on this, you know, whether it's, you know, for this week, after a week, a month,
Sure.
what do you tell him in the offseason? Hey, this is where that next step, this is what you have to do in the offseason for step X.
Yeah, I
What do you
mean,
tell him?
look, it's all the guys, really. It's okay, you take a little time off, you hit the weight room. You start building your strength. You know, hey, we want them at a certain body weight, those type of things. And then, hey, as we get a little bit closer to OTAs, now we start working on the speed and the flexibility and things like that. And then come back bigger, faster, stronger. You already have a knowledge of what we're doing here. Not a lot's going to change. And then, hey, let's take the next step. Let's go from there when you're bigger, faster, stronger. And so now, you know, mentally, he's not hearing it the first time, the second time. You know, he's heard it a bunch of times. So he'll come back here whenever that is, you know, in the OTAs in April. And he'll walk in the building with so much more confidence because nothing's new. You know, he doesn't have to learn it. No new faces, no new scheme, no new technique. You walk back in and here we go. You know, and it'll be exciting.
Oh yeah, Coach. There receivers. Olave has been pretty steady, and my folks down there tell me Juwan Johnson might have had his best game last week.
Yeah.
On field.
It all starts with the quarterback. The guy's playing fantastic. He really is. Handed to those guys. I think, you know, Pete down there has done a phenomenal job. You know, and that Carmichael and that staff they've really got them playing well together. They really do. I see a better football team this time than last time. I really do. And so Derek is distributing the ball. He's getting the ball out. He knows the reach. He knows where to go. They're on the same page. And again, you know, it's the first year with him there, and so those guys, and sometimes it takes a little longer. And I think what you're seeing is you know, he knows where everybody's going to be. The receivers are in the right spot. You know, protection is good, and the ball's coming out. You know, they've done a good job, and so you know, we got a good challenge ahead of us. And I know our guys will be up for the challenge, but it's going to be a good test.
Jesse, obviously the things that jump out are the tackle numbers and the turnovers, but I imagine you seeing him every day, watching him on film and so forth, you appreciate him in a different way. What do you see in him that you know causes him to excel?
He doesn't get enough credit for outside lines, in the locker room, in the meeting room, things that you know, everybody else doesn't see. He's a great teammate. He's constantly encouraging and coaching guys, and he's got some really good relationships. He's built he spent the time to build the relationships with the guys, and he's always talking to, you know, encouraging the younger players and the guys on the field. And you'll see him, if you just watch the end of some of the plays, he'll kind of walk over to a guy and encourage him, or a good play and those type of, and that just kind of breeds success and confidence in everybody else that he's around. And guys like a coach on the field. I mean, he knows the checks and the schemes, and he gets everybody in the right spot. Or if there's a question, he gets an answer before we can get to the sideline. You know, those things. I mean, it just helps the whole the defense, the scheme, all the players. And then when the ball is snapped, I mean, the guy he's special now. He really is. He's in the right spot. He knows where to go. He's a good space tackler, like a really good space tackler. I don't know if he gets enough credit for that. He's made a lot of space tackles and saved some touchdowns in some plays for us. And then his ball skills are, I mean, he's got the interceptions and the PBUs to show for it. But that can get better. And I think when you look at it and you got Jerry and Jack that are coaching him, and I think he's gotten better through this as the season's gone on. And you've seen more of a confident player, and again, that takes a little bit of time. And but where the level he's playing right now, it's fun to watch.
Looking back at the beginning of the season, do you anticipate that Clark would be developing at this pace?
I think one of the things is how Art has gone about and structured practice. In OTAs and in camp, and here's kind of how it went: is he came in. It doesn't matter who's out there. Like it could be a first team against a third team or whatever that was, because you just never know when your number's called. You got to show up on Sunday, and you're playing against the first team of whoever that is. It prepares you, and so he had some success doing that early when he was here. And then he, as a rookie, sometimes you go through the rookie wall, hit the rookie wall, and got to come out the other side. And he's done that. Couldn't say if I ever put an expectation on him, right? Because you try not to, But you see a guy who's really taken to the coaching and the technique, and he's a confident player. He's always had that confidence. So you knew, hey, the guy's got a chance. And he went out there and he's made some plays, and he covered a couple deep balls. The Tampa game was fantastic. I mean, he was down there covering them, and he's done some really good things. And so another young player that has come on as of late, and it'll be the same conversation as we just talked about with some of the other guys. And you'll see another step and a rise to his game.
What is that?
Well, the consistency of every single play. The consistency of being in the right spot every time, technique and things, just doing what you're doing at your best every single time. That'll be it. And that's easy to do for him, because he's a really good athlete, and he can do. It's just the mental part of the game, every single play, doing that, not having a lapse here and there. And that's something that he can. We'll just stay on him, and because he does have the technique, and he knows where he's supposed to be. It's just every single play and just staying on the consistency, for sure. Awesome.
Thanks, Ken.
Okay, guys.
Right,
Happy New Year.
All right,
Appreciate
Happy New
you.
Year.
Just to recap the last game, our guys are on special teams. They're playing hard. The outcome didn't come out the way that we wanted. Playing in those conditions, we like to put those first two field goals on the board and not put our defense in that type of position for field position-wise or momentum when you drive down there and we come up short with no points. And, again, Koo's been – I love working with him. I love working with Bradley, Liam, and those guys. Sometimes when you kick long enough in the NFL, those things happen, whether it's an operational deal, whether the wind takes it, those things happen. But we want to put points on the board when it comes to those situations. I thought those guys finished the game strong. You talk about the field goal block attempt that we ended up almost scoring on. And, it's very unfortunate. I do appreciate the effort, D-Led, Mike, Taryn, those guys executing that call, whether it's D going back there, trying to block the kick, almost coming up close to blocking the kick, and then turning it into a return, which that play, since I've been in the NFL, I've been a part of that. That was my only time being a part of it, and it was cool to see those guys, play with effort. That's a long play. And we come up short on that. And just because we did come up short on that at the end of half, it still don't take away the effort and the details and the physicality that the guys played with. So those are things that we can learn from and build off of in our return game as a returner, because D's been doing a really good job since taking over the spot over the second half of the season as a returner, making great decisions, coming alive with the football, and it showed. So unfortunately, we didn't come up with points with that, but it's still a great opportunity for us to move into this week with the momentum of those guys blocking, working tackling, Mac winning out there on the vice versus as a gunner out there on the perimeter and putting together a great game this week in New Orleans. So we look forward to this opportunity. They do a great job there with Luke Henley as their punter, good directional punter. JT Gray, really good special teams player. Taysom Hill, he's always a threat, whether he has the ball in his hands or if he doesn't have the ball in his hands. And then Shaheed, who just got nominated as a Pro Bowl returner. We got an opportunity to go against him. He's a dual returner. He's fearless with getting vertical with the football, and he can get to the perimeter as a returner. And he's fearless, like when it comes to like catching the ball in traffic, ball on the ground. He's going to look to come alive because that is their first play on offense. So we're excited about the challenge. We look forward to going out there and winning this last divisional game of the year. So open up to any questions.
Yeah, I'm going to ask about Shaheed. You touched on him. What makes him a special returner? Is it his takeoff or vision, or what does he does that makes him elite in being able to take these kicks back, punts and kicks back?
I think you start with his mindset. Everything it starts with the brain, like in between the ears, before you start talking about the physical traits. He's confident. I use the term fearless. He's going to take chances. And when it comes to guys that are able to do that as a returner, and he makes good decisions, like there's a reason why you see guys blocking hard for him. And the reason why you could see him getting those opportunities with the ball in his hands, whether it's on punt return or kick return, and then it's starting to translate to him getting more ops on offense, starting his rookie year. So as an undrafted free agent out of Weber State, he's done a phenomenal job. He's athletic, he's fast, he has great change of direction, and like I said before, it's cool to see a guy, whether it doesn't matter where you get scholarships from, what level that you play in college, high school, or whatever, but he got an opportunity, he's making the most out of it. And he's going to have a bright future, and we look forward to the challenge to go against another dynamic returner this week with Shaheed.
In terms of CP, he posts on social media that he definitely seems not pleased with his usage. This year, we haven't gotten a chance to talk to him yet, but it might be fair to at least surmise that some of that might be kick return. Is there any, when you look back now, is there any regret of maybe not having him take out a few more kicks this season?
Well, I'll say this about CP. Any guy that could change the game with the ball in their hands, if they're not frustrated with having more opportunities to help the team, because that's what they're looking to do is to help the team, yeah, they could be frustrated because they want to help the team. Do I have any regrets? You can't live life in regrets. There's things that happen in life that put you in the position that you're in now and create your why. So when it comes to decision-making, I think he's been doing a great job of decision-making when it comes to helping the team and whether we want to take the ball out or not. And there's things that we could get better at, whether it's urgency to the football so we can return one or not. But I don't live in regret saying, oh, I wish he would have took this one out versus Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago. We can't live that way. I won't live that way when it comes to that because we're focused on this week. We're focused on the Saints. The rule kind of changed things, and the kickers and punters are stronger as they've ever been. You can look at the field goal numbers. You can look at the punt net numbers. You can look at the touchback numbers. Those numbers are going up. And a combination of that with the new kickoff fair catch rule and how strategically teams want to be when they get the first play on offense, it changes. Or it might change by who's going to be on that first play on offense. So there's a lot of different variables. I could see where there is frustration from CP because he wants to help the team. But again, you can only control what you can control. I know for our phase, for special teams, for kickoff return, because that's the one phase that he does play on, if he gets an opportunity, we're going to try to make the most out of it. We could get fixated and look at like however many returns he had this year. I don't know. I don't look at those. All I know is can we help our team win that down? Did we make the right decision? Yes. Did we get the ball for our offense the next play? Yes. Hey, can we gain a first down in the return game? If we're able to do those things and make sure that we're having the ball, like the last time we played the Saints, okay, they squibbed the kick to him. He made a great decision because that ball was on the ground. If he would have made a bad decision, we would have started with really bad field position, probably inside the 10 or 15. Instead, he got the ball, had urgency, got it, and got vertical and got it past 25, maybe to 30. That's a win in our books, and he's doing those things for us. And he's been great in our room. He's been doing a great job. He's been helping those guys understand what we're trying to do. I've always seen him watching film of coverage units, what we're going against, and he's just staying ready before the opportunity presents itself.
You mentioned urgency. is that urgency on some of the blocking? Is that urgency sometimes on him reacting to maybe where the ball's kicked to get there, to be in better position instead of just kind of always waving it off? Like, what are you talking about?
Well, urgency is for everybody. Urgency, like if you're blocking for me, okay, and you're on the front line of kickoff return, we have to sprint back because their coverage team is sprinting towards us. If you run back and you're kind of running not your full speed, by the time you turn around, those coverage guys are on you right away. And then we talk about our returners, whether you talk about D. Alford, Mike Hughes, Avery Williams, Scotty Miller, CP. In order for you to become dynamic with the football, to get vertical, because that's the fastest way to the end zone, we got to get to the football. So those are things, whether he is the NFL record holder or working with a guy like Devin Hester, those are things that we always work on, is urgency to the takes away the willingness to learn. Like we don't, as soon as, like, yes, he's the all-time leading record in kickoff return, but let's get the next one. The next one's gonna be harder. Let's gain first downs. Let's make smart decisions in the return game. We're not going to just take the foot off the pedal just because he has 9 career kickoff returns. We're always looking to get better at things. And we started this morning with working the return game and walkthroughs. And guys were locked in. CP was the first one in the huddle, listening to all the little details that we need to go out there and execute versus the Saints.
He also, I mean, I just want to make sure I have the numbers right. So I guess when the rare times he is returning it, he's averaging his career lowest.
Mm-hmm.
Does that play into it too, in terms of maybe, I don't want to say he's lost a step, but age or something in some of the decision making that you guys have made in terms of him taking stuff out or not?
No, I would not say that, Mike. Lost a step. We've seen him this year with the ball in his hands, and he's a difference maker with the ball in his hands. He has not lost a step. If you want to look back at those kicks, how many of them were short kicks? How many of them were squib kicks? Because that changes the whole dynamic of things. If you're fielding a squib kick, it's not the right pitch. You want a kickoff that's in the air, catch it on the run. If you get a squib kick, it may not be the right kick. You just got to get vertical and get what you can out of it, because it switches up the timing of the blocks, the angles at which we block. So if you want to, we can't just put those numbers on CP. That's on the return unit. That's on the situation that we're playing. I can sit here as a coordinator and get fixated on, hey, we got to average this many yards in return to be the #1 return team in the league. Our job is to win that down. If we win that down, we make sure the offense has the ball. If the offense has the ball, we have our opportunity to put points on the board. That's the most important thing of our return units. The next play, our offense has the football. Yeah, we want to score, set up a score, but we got to make sure we have the football. So if we get a pitch that's not right, let's get on the ball, get vertical, get what we can, and we're going to be patient with the next opportunity. So that's, yes, those, whatever those stats were, the lowest, whatever, I don't care about those stats. We care about winning those plays.
Youngle's first field goal was, how much was wind a factor in being short?
For a long, long time, you don't want those things to happen, but if you kick long enough, those things are going to happen. And the week before, he made all his field goals, but it doesn't mean that he was happy with all those field goals that he made. You know, those contacts on the ball we talked about before, Taryn, D-Led, Mike, we're fixated on the process. Yeah, we want to help the team and make those kicks, but the process is everything, because we want the gradual growth, not just the instant growth and the satisfaction when it comes to that, and gratification when it comes to that. So we got to continue to work, continue to get better at those little things, and it's going to make everything worth it when it comes to our process and how we operate as a field goal unit.
Were you surprised when the Saints at the start of the season switched out their punter and kicker?
Not necessarily. I mean, the NFL is very transactional. every year, you know, NFL, there's always more and more players coming into the NFL, but there's the same amount of positions in the NFL when you talk about the 53-man roster and the 16 on practice squad. So there's always going to be some type of transaction, whether a guy has a short time with that team or he gets traded or ends up going to another team with a new contract. I know that Darren Rizzi does a great job there of trying to make the most out of his roster when you talk about the special teams coordinator. So was I surprised? No, because it's the NFL. Every year there could be a new guy in that same seat when it comes to a player or a coach. So, but at the end of the day, it's an opportunity for those guys like Blake, like Lou. Those guys are out there playing out there for them in New Orleans. And it's going to be a great challenge because they are doing a good job. I know Blake is a rookie. He made a couple of kicks versus us, had some big kicks last week versus Tampa. And then Lou's a really good directional punter. I mean, the numbers don't show like how they're net and gross, but their coverage units complement them pretty well with JT Gray, Taysom Hill, Zach Bond. All those guys are out there covering for them to complement their kick direction and punt direction and what they're doing as a coverage unit. So, again, Terrence, it's going to be a big challenge, and I'm not surprised because I know Darren Rizzi does a phenomenal job up there with their team's units.
Did you say that was the first near kick six you've seen in person?
Yeah. We've repped that call throughout training camp, throughout preseason, throughout the regular season and practice for years. And I've been in the NFL since 16, coached special teams all but 1 year, and that was the first time I got the opportunity to be a part of something like that. But I give a lot of credit to our guys. They were locked in, ready to go. D. Alfred did a good job jumping to catch the ball to give turn that field goal block, which is a defensive play, and transition into offense. And you saw big blocks downfield with Trey Flowers, D'Angelo Malone. All those guys were blocking, and it's a long play. And I appreciate those guys the way they play because you could look at somebody at film, and the one thing I care about is our attitude, our effort, and the technique that we play with. But the first thing is those attitude, your mindset. Your mindset is everything. How you approach anything is how you approach everything. And I love the way our guys approach day in and day out, whether it's practice, meetings, or in the game. And great plays, I believe, are made from great effort. It just so happened we didn't finish the play, and we were 13 yards short. But that doesn't take away from how those guys played on Sunday. And I look forward to those guys getting better this week, Taryn, playing against the Saints.
Anything else? Thanks, guys.
All right. Appreciate it.
How do you handle all the conversation about your job security, Art's job security? How do you handle that?
Well, I think, when you're in this profession, you come into it as the reason why you got into it, right, is to help others. That doesn't change regardless of the circumstances that are in your control, out of your control. The reality is you take essentially an oath as a coach, especially at this level, to help prepare each player that you're responsible for to help. And you go about your business and you realize that what you can control is very little. You accept that, no different than playing quarterback. When that ball leaves your hands, you can't control what happens after that. It's the same thing when you look at any job you take, regardless of profession. Your job is to go out there and do as best as humanly possible you can do, be able to put your head on the pillow at night, realize you gave it everything you have, and again, some returns are better than others. But the reality is it's not a thought process because you're so focused on trying to win a game and you're insulated when you're in a building, right? You turn the film on and you just get lost in the film, and you get lost with the staff, and you get the players in here and they bring energy. So to sit here and say that's, given it, that hasn't been. It's just more about trying to find a way to win in a hostile environment against a great defense.
When you look at, because this, depending on what happens on Sunday playoffs or not playoffs, this might be the last time we talk to you this year.
Golly, man.
Well, just
it is going right. D-Led's like, man.
It's the week of your team.
Yeah, I know.
Like, how do you, from your vantage point, how do you explain kind of the inconsistency that's really permeated?
Yeah, I think when you go about that, right, there's been incident games where we've looked obviously good, and there's times where we've had issues. Again, you always go back and reevaluate everything you're doing, right, good or bad. Making sure that we find ways to take care of the football, stay on the field, converting third downs or critical situations typically lead to better results. So for us, that's no different than, if we were the records were different or wherever we're at, you're always striving for consistency. And every team I've been a part of, that's regardless of the record, you're constantly trying to repeat, stay consistent, and get players to play at a high level and coach at a high level. Sometimes the ball bounces a certain way, and there's unfortunate situations that occur. Other times there are things in our control that are good, and sometimes they're bad, and you always go back and you talk through those. But the reality is you're always striving for that. And I've been on staffs or teams where you're playing at a high level and you're still striving for it. So I don't think it's always that challenge, that goal, and I don't think you ever reach it. But you're always striving for it.
Are you all, I don't know, happy's not the right word, but pleased with what Bijan's been able to do in his first year production-wise? He's closing in on Tyler's record and is, over, I can't do the math, it's a lot of numbers. But 1,200.
No, I got you. I mean, there's
14.
right. There's things that again, we're not setting out here and
87 yards away.
setting goals for guys or things of that nature. I mean, we want guys to play at a high level, and we want guys to be a great teammate. And if that means you're carrying the football, or you're blocking for that person, or that means you're getting in there and you're only playing 10% of the time, regardless of circumstance, that's what we're looking for. We want guys all in, coaches coaching all in, and accepting the responsibility, because each game it's different, right? There's been production where there's some games different for other guys. But the reality is, when you look at it, like, whatever it takes to win the game that day. So if it's your numbers called, your personnel has been out there more than other ones, reality is we're just trying to find a way to win a game. And however we do that, we do that. But that is the goal.
How do you view what Bergeron has done this year?
Yeah, I think when you talk about young players coming in, there's always an adjustment period. It's different for each position. I know a lot gets talked about when a young quarterback comes in, but each position has its own potential early issues of adjustment. And what he's been able to do is come in with a really, really good nucleus of guys around him, coaches who understand how to get guys ready. And he's embraced the challenge of playing early and trying to play consistent football. And he's learning every time he goes out there. And what you love about what he does, just like a lot of our young players, is once they go out there, they experience something, they're able to either self-correct it or they learn from it the next time it occurs. And that's what we want from all the players. It's a growth mindset. If something good or bad happens, learn from it and try to get better the next time you do it. And he's no different with that.
In your 3 years here, you guys have had a few different linemen that have kind of had to play early, whether it was Jay first year, Drew, not necessarily as a rookie, but a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Bergeron does. There's been mixed results there, throughout.
Right.
What was it that gave you guys the confidence that Bergeron will be able to handle it maybe as well as he has?
Yeah, I think it starts from when he got here.
Yeah.
You can tell the level of professionalism, seriousness, the way they consume information, and I think that's what he's shown. I think that's a lot of the guys that we brought in here, regardless of how they've gotten here, you can see a common link in terms of mindset, how they approach their job, how they take coaching, and I think the best thing I can explain about NFL players is the ones that last or play well the longest are the ones who can problem solve the best, because it's not exactly how it appears at times. And over a long period of time, and that typically doesn't allow you to last. But what you see, at least early returns of some of our young guys, is the ability to do that, the problem solve, to see a picture, it changes, to fix it, and be able to play fast with it. Because some guys, when they see the picture change, it pauses them. Well, pause out in the National Football League, you're going to have an issue. And you like to see those guys, their ability to react to it. And for the most part, everybody's trying to get better, but for the most part, they've been able to do that, and it's been good to see.
What is something that Chris Lindstrom does really, really well? Essentially?
Yeah, I think what he brings to the table, unlike really anybody I've really been around, is his level of effort on each play. People talk about playing hard, playing fast, playing through the whistle, all those terms, coach speak terms that you hear. Just put the film on. I mean, his resume speaks for itself. I mean, every snap, there's never a question of did he give you everything he had. And you match that with an intelligent player, physically tough, understands the game, and then you put effort with it. It's just no surprise that he's reaping some of the rewards of his hard work.
When watching past players, one thing he really does a lot is he'll help out Drew, and then kind of punch, and then swing over to help Caleb. Is that something that is asking a lot of him? Is that like something you'll?
No, typically that's within the system, right? It's within the call, and his responsibilities are really dictated by what the call is for him to do on that particular protection call. But look, Chris has great spatial awareness. I think players who, with the ability to problem solve, have spatial awareness last. And Chris understands how to get the job done when it's not exactly perfect, because his effort is usually gets him through a lot of things.
His hand placement and footwork seem to be at a different level than other guys. Is that something you noticed before you even got here?
I think it's really right. I think it's a credit to him putting in the work. It's a credit to the coaches that work with him daily. It's a credit to his teammates who push him. I think Chris would be the first to tell you that he's been fortunate to have a lot of good people around him. He's a great person, and you just see his level of work. And again, it starts on the practice field. It's a lot of our guys. I know we're asking about Chris, but that's why you're so proud to coach a team. In my position, fortunate is just seeing the level of their ability to be coachable, but then just go out and work. And I know that sounds like, well, you get paid. Well, yeah. I mean, I had an old coach once tell me, like, you get paid to practice. The game's for fun. And it always stuck in the back of my mind, like, what's exactly that mean? And then you see guys who go out here in the practice field and they just, week 16, week 17, give you everything they've got. And you grow a level of appreciation, and you feel so fortunate in your position to see that and be a part of it like I am.
I think it's just in the opposite for quarterbacks specifically. Why has there been so much issue there this season?
Yeah, there's a lot of factors. Again, I think not to speak for either one of those guys, but again, I think it goes back to when you're playing the position, you want to make sure you're going out there, you're trying to execute at a high level. And sometimes, right, like we've talked about for 3 years, you take the snap and something out of your control happens, that you might have the right footwork, your eyes are in the right place, and then something happens that is not your doing. The ultimate responsibility then is to find a way to not just fix it, but get yourself in the best possible position where you negate the negatives. Sometimes a sack is the best alternative that you're facing. And again, that's a negative play, but there's worse negative plays than that. I think when you talk about quarterback play in general, the more you can negate the negatives, right, and play more neutral to the positive, right, you're putting yourself, more importantly, in the best position possible. There's times where, again, unfortunate things happen. You make a snap decision. At that time, you think it's the right decision, okay? And then as you sit back and you replay it over and over with the clicker and the air conditioner, you're like, I wish I wouldn't have done that. And there's times where that impulse have to play through it. Sometimes you have to sit back and let someone else do it and then kind of recalibrate. And again, I think that's part of the issue at times that we've gotten to this year is you put yourself in a position, maybe not your own doing and not a good spot. And now you have to go rescue yourself or rescue the play. Is what's that next decision going to be? And you just don't want that next decision to potentially be a major issue, right, where it causes a ripple effect throughout the team. But that's why it's so hard to play quarterback. I'm not being a martyr for the quarterbacks. You're making split-second decisions. There's trust in those. And sometimes you do everything right, and it just doesn't go your way. But you have to live with it. Like I told you guys before weeks ago. Same line that was told me, I'll say it again. When you sign up to play NFL quarterback, you sign up for all of it, good and the bad. And sometimes that bad is completely out of your control, and you just have to be able to consume it and take it. And sometimes the good's out of your control, and it's not even your doing. Someone makes a great play, but it looks great in your stat line, right? And you're like, oh, he played really well, but then you really watch the tape, and it's like, yeah, statistically, but then you watch, and you're like, there's room here. I know what the stats say. Sometimes you don't have a great stat game, you make great decisions. You're like, man, I get it. I get what it may look like, but this is pretty good here. If we can get this consistent, man, you're going to have a chance. And that's ultimately how you weigh the position sometimes. I mean, you're looking through all those things.
You mentioned that next level. Is that something that's actually coachable, or does a guy have that or doesn't?
I don't think it's necessarily hazard. I think there comes a point of experiences. You can't experience everything, right? You're going to experience things for the first time. And reality is you might experience the first time at this level, something that someone got that in college and was able to kind of understand how to, okay, I'm going to get through that. I think you realize when you're out here playing the position that, look, it's about your ability to operate. And sometimes operating is handing the ball off because you get yourself in the right play. But there's 65 plays in which you're probably responsible, for a large majority of those in terms of getting us in the right play or making the right decision within 3 seconds. So you go back and you watch and you look and you're like, okay, did I make the right decisions here? If I did, this is the one thing, Michael, the one thing I can't say about the position. If you're just going to coach it or you're going to base opinions of yourself or others on the result of a play, like that is a slippery slope. And what I mean by that is, like, you may get away with a great pass back across the field, and it's like a wild play, and it gets shown all over the highlights. You do that 9 more times. Reality is 5 might be bad, 4 might be fatal, but you got away with the 1. So that one's celebrated, not just amongst yourself, but amongst everybody else. And it's like, oh my God. But then if the fatal happens, it's like, why would he do that? So if you start basing your self-worth at the position or you're coaching it based off results, like you're doing a disservice. And sometimes to whoever who's watching it, it looks like a bad play, but actually it was a great decision. But it wasn't the result. It was a bad result. It might be an incompletion. You might have taken a sack, but that was a great decision. But it doesn't appear that way. So how do you get consistent play, right? If it's just based off results, like that, sometimes the roller coaster of a ride. You base it on decision-making, good, and you look at it and say, yeah, it's a great decision, man. I love what you did. Again, we didn't get the result, but that over the course of time is going to land you the results you want. Like sometimes, right, equate it to the investment world. You buy a stock, right? You buy a penny stock, it shoots up. You make that thrown back across your body. Phenomenal. You make a great return. Go buy 10 of them, right? Or you sit there and you buy, right? Years ago, you buy Apple and say, I'm not going to look at it ever, and I'm going to open up one day 15 years from now and see what I got. I think that's sometimes decision-making by quarterbacks in the NFL, right? You go here with those, it's hard. You ride it out over the course of time, you're up here. I know I went long. I went on a diatribe there, but that is, right? When you're talking about the D-Led's like, where are we at? Where are we at, right?
The last coach had directed me to this stat, that you all have rushed for over 200 yards in the last 3 meetings against the Saints. What do we make of that? They're giving up 122 a game. You getting 8, 1:30 a game, looks
Mhm.
like you have an advantage there.
Yeah, I would say this.
On the notebook.
I know. I see those notes. There's a lot of numbers on there. Every game's different. Every game is different. So what they may have shown us the last time we played them can be completely different this time, and we have to be ready for that and prepare ourselves for that. Look, this is going to be a hostile environment. It's a well-coached defense. Nothing but respect for the player. I think I played New Orleans the last like 8 years. I've got nothing but respect for how they play, the intensity, the violence they play at. We have our work cut out for us. But again, we get a chance to go down there, okay, and go play a football game at the National Football League level, and we feel fortunate to be able to do that. We want to go out there and obviously play to our best of our ability, but we are going to be challenged.
Regarding Chris again, obviously things aren't through and you still got a chance, but obviously I think we'd all agree that the season hasn't gone the way you want. Is among the many, I guess, things to be frustrated about is the fact that you haven't able to better use such high play from him. Part of it, would you say?
Of who? I'm sorry.
Oh, Chris, I'm sorry.
Lindstrom?
Yeah.
Look, I think, again, you always go back at the end of the year, because here's where I think it's hard sometimes. Like, you're in the middle of the season, you're going through things, right, and then you make a quick evaluation. After the season, you make the evaluation once you're kind of take your emotion out of it. I think right now with all our players, man, the focus has been to find a way this week. Find a way this week against a really, really good football team, and then obviously you do your evaluations after the season on that.
All right, guys.
All right.
All right, thank
Thanks,
you,
guys.
Coach. All right.